Integrating the environment into K-3 social studies. This video is made possible by the California Department of Education as part of the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project, which provides professional learning and resources to help educators and school administrators successfully promote environmental education and environmental literacy. The video is developed in partnership with the Sacramento and San Joaquin County Offices of Education. Welcome to this brief overview of environmental literacy in grades kindergarten through 3 and its connections to California's History Social Science Standards and Framework. I'm Charlie Gilmore from the Sacramento County Office of Education, and it's my pleasure to share some ideas that will help you gain a better understanding of how environmental literacy is represented in California's HSS framework. In addition, we will address some considerations regarding integrating instruction on the environment into your social studies curriculum. The 2016 History Social Science Framework asks teachers to integrate California's environmental principles and concepts into their social studies instruction at each grade level. Knowing that one of the most valuable commodities in the classroom is time, SCOE has developed a resource designed to aid teachers in this endeavor. So how do we integrate instruction about the environment into our social studies lesson? The first step is identifying the points in your grade level standards where it's most relevant and appropriate. The Environmental Literacy Compendium pairs the language of the framework with suggestions for instruction that connect the standards-based content to one or more of California's environmental principles and concepts, also known as the EP&Cs. The EP&Cs exist across the curriculum and provide a natural place to pair instruction in multiple subjects. In addition, where appropriate, the compendium makes connections to the next generation science standards. In the K-3 grade span, we've identified 11 places within units you're already teaching for natural integration of the EP&Cs. 4 of these are in kindergarten, 2 each are in first and second grades, and 3 are in third grade. Let's examine one page within the compendium to get a sense of how it works. On one side is the relevant language from the HSS framework. In this third grade example, we have an excerpt from Chapter 6 of the framework. On the other side is a section titled Environmental Literacy Integration. There, you will find a compelling question designed to engage student curiosity, a short introduction to the concepts of the suggested lesson, and step-by-step instructions for classroom implementation. Beneath the lesson instructions, you will notice which of California's environmental principles and concepts are addressed in the lesson and possible connections to NGSS. So how can we implement a lesson in the classroom? Let's take an example from third grade. In the third grade, students learn about the role of citizens in their community and in civic life. The framework suggests students can research local people who have contributed to the safety, welfare, and happiness of others. The compendium builds on the framework by asking the compelling question, how do people preserve what they value? In every community in California, there are examples of people who have worked to preserve natural habitats and open spaces. For example, John Muir worked with Teddy Roosevelt to establish Yosemite as a national park. From national parks like Yosemite to local preserves like Griffith Park in Los Angeles or the American River Parkway in Sacramento, students can study how people past and present have taken action to preserve their local environment and better their community. In this lesson, you can start by prompting your students with the compelling question, how do people preserve what they value? As a whole class, have your students brainstorm a list of ways people preserve what they value. From there, you can introduce students to a local park, nature preserve, or open space and provide students with a brief overview. There are a number of ways to help students visualize the area being studied, from a field trip to a satellite tour on a mapping program. You can continue to prompt student learning with questions like, why do you think people in the past wanted to preserve this area in its natural state? And what would they need to do to achieve their goal of preserving this natural environment? Once students have worked through some of these questions, you can provide them with primary sources, such as newspaper articles or pictures. For example, you can examine historical photos, such as images from Redwood National and State Parks, Heather Lake in El Dorado County, or Pio Pico State Park in Los Angeles County, to evaluate how well these areas have been preserved. Finally, you can have students identify an area in their community they would like to have preserved and help them strategize ways to accomplish this goal, helping connect the students' study of the past to the present. Through the lens of environmental literacy, students learn about the role of citizens in their community and in civic life. They learn how the expansion of human communities affects the geographic extent of natural systems. They also gain understanding of how the factors that affect communities' decisions about natural systems and resources change over time. We hope this video has provided a helpful overview of environmental literacy in social studies and has given you some tangible ideas about how to infuse it into your curriculum. Thank you to the California Department of Education and the California Regional Environmental Education Community Project for funding this video, and to Ashley Gilreath for the photo of the American River Parkway. Technical production of this video is performed by the Sacramento County Office of Education's Internet and Media Services Department.